Um, Sorry, just to be sure, the capable catalyst is at JME. Is that right?
No, sir. No.
Oh, okay. All right. So I hope you can all see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, you can see my screen. All right. So because of time today, I'm going to be ending this class before 8 p.m. But I'm going to try to move as fast as I can. Today, what we are trying to do is complete the project, the report that we started on Wednesday. We've been working on this for 2 nights now, and today we should come to a good conclusion on this. So I hope you all can hear me. I'm just going to proceed from where I left off yesterday. So I sent the questions that we'll be answering to the group, and Oluwadamilola was the one who was assisting me with the questions. So we have, as we can see, the reports we are building has 2 pages as of now. The report we are building has 2 pages as of now. So we are just going to, should I say, continue in good spirit as of yesterday. We have 3 more visuals to build, and I'm just going to proceed to answering the next question where we left off yesterday. Before I do that, if you are in yesterday's class and you are here now, please signify by raising your hands. If you're in yesterday's class and you are here now, please signify by raising your hands. Okay, Anna, your hand is up. Okay, Anna, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think Adeyemi is here as well. Oh, okay. So basically, did you join the class on time yesterday?
No, no. I joined the
Oh,
class
okay.
when we were talking about sites we can get icons from, like the flat icons and other.
Oh, okay. So were you able to try out some of the things that we learned yesterday?
Uh, I've not been able to try it. I was actually going
Oh,
to
okay.
try it after today's class.
Oh, okay.
So I
Use the
didn't
weekend
get
to
to
try
try
it,
it.
yeah?
Yes. I've not
Oh, okay.
tried
No
it at
problem.
all.
All right. Thank you. Prince, are you there? So Anna, you can drop your hands. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Prince. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. So,
Oh, okay. Prince.
yes, yesterday I joined, but unfortunately, Nigeria happened. I didn't even spend up to 15 minutes. My laptop went off, and in fact, today safe, I don't know. I'm just joining with 30%. So
Oh,
it's very
okay.
unfortunate. But yes, but I'll watch the video over the weekend. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. No problem. Adeyemi, are you there? Adeyemi, if you can hear me, you're probably not. Your sound is probably not coming out properly. Oh, okay. You said you are presently in transit. All right. Damilola is here as well. Damilola, if you are, can you say something? Are you where you can speak? All right. Noted. Noted.
Yes,
Adeyemi.
yes. Good
All
evening.
right. So Adeyemi, Damilola, and Prince, they've been notable mentions for students who have been active in class. I think Damilola has been the one helping us with questions. Prince has been asking questions, at least when he was active. And yesterday, Adeyemi was my assistant teacher in class, helping me with feedback if you could still hear me or not. So, Damilola, you were in class yesterday. So we stopped at
Yes,
building.
on and off actually. I didn't finish the class. I didn't finish
Oh,
the class
okay.
with you. My system went off.
Oh, okay. I hope we'll
Yes.
be able to catch up this weekend.
Hello.
I hope. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yes, I will by God's grace.
But then I assisted you too.
Thank you
I
so
assisted
much.
you. I was the one that said that the questions in the on the WhatsApp group didn't add 2020.
Yeah,
Uh
thank you for the correction from yesterday.
okay.
Now, I was going to ask, did we learn anything at all yesterday? Anything new that we did not already know?
Uh yes, the slicer.
Oh, oh, okay. Now,
Like the
basically,
difference
so
with
thank you very much. Anna, I'm listening to you now.
okay, so the way we can actually different types of styles. We have the
Okay.
tiles, the drop down. In Excel, we didn't really have that, so I was able to like
Oh, okay.
load that in Power BI. So
Oh,
yes, this
okay. Oh, okay. So today, our aim is very simple. Complete this dashboard today. So next week, we begin a new report where we are going to be exploring a few advanced features in Power BI. I said on Wednesday that let's see what we are doing so far as growing in Power BI. We are gradually ascending in steps doing this. So I'm going to proceed in this class, and we are going to go ahead to answer the sixth question. So the sixth question is to find
Sorry,
managers.
sorry. Sorry.
Okay,
Did you say
yeah,
did
go
you
on.
say we are going to go to a more advanced?
Yeah. Oh, you think? Yes, we are.
Oh my goodness. Okay, no problem. Thank you. That's why we have you.
Now, mind you, Oladamola, whatever we are going to be doing after this, we are not going to be neglecting the foundational knowledge that we already have here. They are going to be useful for us when we get to the next report we'll be building. Okay, it's not going to be proper for us to have 2 weeks to explore Power BI, and all we can conjure is one report. Are we still together?
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. So, and that's why we have one another. So I'm just going to proceed to answering the sixth question, which says managers by sales in 2017 from 2017 to 2020. So now for this, we need, don't forget I said automation, so I'm going to copy this and paste it, and then move the visual outside of this. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is to then select the necessary columns. For this, I'm going to be needing manager, sales, and year. So I already have year selected. So I'll select manager and sales. Now, the year is showing just 2020, and I want it to be all the years. So I'm going to come to filters as we've done in previous lessons and just select all the years. Now, for this, I'm going to be using a different chart type. I'm going to be using the ribbon charts. I'm going to be using what we call the ribbon charts, as you can see here. So you can see that the ribbon chart has decided to mix up a little bit of colors, but we are working with a shade of green. So we are going to make adjustments to some of these colors and also insert data labels. Just practically make the chart a lot more meaningful to understand. Now, like I said yesterday, whenever you are making a visual, what you will see in format visual will be determined by the type of visual you selected. Now look at when I select line charts, you see where we had ribbons before has now become lines. When I select ribbon, the ribbon chart, it changes to ribbons because we are now working with ribbons. I said yesterday that whenever we are working with any chart that involves, is anybody trying to ask a question? Okay. I said yesterday that whenever you are working with any visual that involves comparison and is not a bar chart, we need our legend because it will help to tell which color belongs to which field. So as we can see here, the legend is able to tell us, okay, the blue ribbons represents 2017, the lemon represents 2018, and so on. So I'm just going to come on here and now adjust these colors one after the other. I'm going to come in here and make adjustments to these colors one after the other. Now, for each of these, if I want to start changing colors, I have to change the colors based on the fields that each of these ribbons represent. And that is the years. They represent the years. So 2017 is on blue. I'm going to try to change that. I'm going to try to change that to a shade of green that is not so. Change that. And I'll go ahead to make the other changes where and when necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and change for 2019. I think 2019 also has a shade of blue. Now, if you notice anything, you will see that we have two types of charts here for the ribbon charts. We have bar charts beneath, and then we have the ribbons right above. So the ribbon chart is basically a combination of column charts and ribbons. Do we still understand what I'm saying? Are we still together?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So that's why we are seeing these shades of blue beneath these changes that I'm making. So the necessary changes will then be made one after the other to ensure that, yes, we have what it is that we want for each and every one of these colors to align with what we are doing. So the next thing I'm going to try to do now is to turn on the labels. So now we can see the total value that each and every one of these salespersons made, that these sales, that these managers made from 2017 to 2020. So now something is still wrong with this chart. Can somebody tell me what seems to be wrong with this chart? Can
The
somebody tell me
title.
what seems to be wrong with this? Okay, so what's the title supposed to be, Oluwadamlola? And how am I supposed to change the title? So quickly walk me through it so we can proceed. Damilola, if you're there, I'm still here. I want you to walk me through how I'm going to change the title quickly. So if you can hear me, let's do that together.
Okay. Sorry. You go to, you click on the chat
Okay,
and go to general
okay,
and go to title.
all right. So what's the title supposed to be?
Managers by sales.
Okay,
By sales made in 2017 to
yeah, okay. 2017 to 2020. All right. Thank you very much for that. Now we have two
Yeah,
more
sorry.
questions to populate. All right. Someone is asking a question.
Sorry, 2018 and 2019. It looks like they have the same
Have the same
color.
color. Oh, okay. Let's look into that quickly. And blah, 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 blah. Though 2019 is lighter, though. Let me show you what I mean. Let me just- So this is the chart for 2019 here. Are we together? And this is for 2018. So can you see that one is lighter, one is neon green, and one is lemon green? But just for the sake of it, I'm going to go ahead and still change the color. Okay. Was that Anna who asked the question? Have I answered your question so I can proceed?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, okay. So the next thing I want to do is I want to quickly answer the last two questions. And that's quantity sold in the first quarter of 2020. That's going to be the. Now, quick question. Which months are in the first quarter of a year? What are the months in the first quarter of a year?
January to March.
Okay, so the first 3 months of the year are the months that are in the. So did you see what I did here? I'm just going to copy a bar chart from previously, and I'm going to take out. So what we're trying to find is the quantity sold in the first quarter of 2020. So we're going to the median quantity. What are the columns that we're going to be needing here to answer this question? Who's going to help us out here? We say quantity sold in the first quarter of 2020. So what are the columns we'll be needing to answer this question? If you are
Quantity.
speaking, please go ahead and speak. Quantity number one,
The year.
year number two.
Months.
Okay, thank you. So month, year, and finally quantity. Good. So now we are going to need to filter this in such a way that we are having exactly what we want. So the year is 2020. That's the first thing we are going to format. The year is 2020. But before we start to filter, let's go ahead and just change our color gradually from here. Don't forget, I spoke about X codes. I spoke about X codes for when you are trying to make charts from the first day. And I sent the X codes for the myDataClique theme colors that we'll be working with. So I hope at this point, nobody is still confused about X codes. So I'm just going to come here and input the X code that I need. Good. So I said 2020 already. But if you look at from the filter, we still have other months that are not in the first quarter. So this means that we have to filter the months field too. So now, according to Damilola earlier, the first 3 months of the year are the months in the first quarter. So that will be January, February, and March. That will be January, February, and March. Another thing that we need to format here is the display unit. You see that the data labels are showing 0.52 million, meaning that this is supposed to be around 520 something thousand, and this is also supposed to be in thousands. So from what we've learned so far, if I wanted to change this to display in the right unit, the labels here, can somebody help us out quickly? How do we go about that? I think Oluwadam, Lola, and Anna have been contributing since. Let me call somebody else, somebody that's trying to hide from me. Okay, I see Martha. Martha is on the call. Can Martha hear me? Martha, can you hear me? Ah, I hope you all can still hear me, or is Martha that is not hearing me?
Yeah.
So Martha, what's the matter? Okay. Prince, are you there? Can Prince hear me? It's only Oluwadam, Lola, and Anna that are responding in this class like this. And we are like 9 on this call. Prince, are you there? While we're waiting for Prince, Oluwadam, Lola, come to our rescue once again. So I want to change this display unit from 0.52 million to be showing in the appropriate way. Okay, okay. Okay, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and try out the solution that Adeyemi, I didn't change it from the X or Y axis. I changed it directly from the data labels. That is for the immediate data labels. But if I wanted to change the ones on the Y axis, I'm going to change it from the Y axis. Can you see that here? Okay. All right. So to answer the final question, this will be sales in the fourth quarter of 2019. Now, if the first quarter of 2020 is the first 3 months, it means that the last quarter of any month will be the last 3 months. So I'm going to just change the title of this before I proceed and call it quantity sold So for this, before we start answering, so we want to know the sales made in the first quarter of 2020. So rather than quantity here, we need sales. And rather than 2020, we need 2019. So I'm going to come here, make changes here to these colors. Let me use the other color. Okay. So for this, the question is to find in the last quarter. So that means the months that will be selected here will be December, November, and October. Then we'll go ahead to format the data labels for the sake of the value here. So now, because we are not comparing more than one field here, it's not necessary to have the legend. So I'm going to take out the legend for both of these charts. Good. Now that we have all the questions answered on both pages, now that we have all the questions answered, we still need to add a few features to these reports. Don't forget, I was saying yesterday that beyond the numbers, beyond the charts, one thing that you need to be able to do is to also include insights and recommendations in your report. So today, to complete this dashboard, we are going to be exploring page navigation. We're going to be exploring buttons, navigation, and all of that. And we are going to be inserting a home page and insights and recommendation. And at the end of this, we should be able to publish this to Power BI service so that I show us a preview of how this looks like whenever we publish and the requirements to publish a report. So now, what I want to do is
Sorry,
I
we
want
haven't
to.
changed the title.
Oh, okay, thank you. The title for the fourth. So what's this question answering again? I think this is sales in first quarter of 2019. Now, whenever whenever you publish your reports, that is to Power BI service, and you share the link, all that the end user has is access to what you have designed. They don't have access to any of these filters, visualization data, or all of these features here. So that's why, as much as you can, try to make sure that the report itself contains every element that is needed to navigate through your report. Try to ensure that the report itself contains every element that is needed by the stakeholder or by the end user to navigate through the, and this is where buttons come in Power BI. When you come to insert, you see that we have a pane here that is called buttons. We have a pane here that is called buttons. Now, under buttons, we have a few inbuilt buttons. And one of them that are very, very important is the clear all slicer and the apply all slicer. The clear all slicer and the apply all slicer. The clear all slicer is, when I click on it, you can see it brings out a button, a clear all slicer button. Now, let me show you what the clear all slicer does. Like its name implies, whenever there are slicers selected, all you need to do is to press Ctrl-click on the clear all slicer button, and it will clear all the slicers at once. So just hold Ctrl and click. Can you see it's giving a preview here? It says Ctrl plus click. And you can see now that the slicers have been returned to default. No matter how many filters in the slicer you have selected, the clear all slicer button is capable of returning the slicers to default just with one click. All you have to do is press Ctrl and click. Mind you, you can see here that where we have visualization, I've now changed the format button. Now, for every button, you can change and format as well. So I'm going to show us how to format the clear all slicer button. Firstly, you can change the border. You see this square, this rectangle-like border that surrounds it. You can decide if you want to change the shape. You can decide if you want to change the shape. We'll be changing this to pale, and you see that it has changed. Now, for buttons, just like websites, there's a little bit of some UI UX functions here that you can make changes based on what Power BI calls state. And I'll try to show us what I meant. Now, this is default. That by default, these clear all slicers should look like a peel. If I say on over, that is whenever I move my pointer across it, it should change. Whenever I move my pointer across it, it should change. Now, let me try to change the color. Just stay with me. Let me try to change this color. That is the text color. To something that will pop out. Okay. I'm going to say apply settings to, then I'll say on, let me return the color to black. Now, apply settings to, where do I want these settings, this change I'm about to make to take effect? If I say on over, it will change, whatever I change will only reflect when I over across that button. Now look at what happens. Can you see that when I over move my pointer across this, the change now takes effect? So this is what I meant by it having a little bit of UI UX experience in it, like a website. Now, this is for the text. Now, after on over, we have on press. Now, on press changes will take effect when you press the selected button. So let me change the color on this to a different color for on press. I'll come here now, and when I Control click, you would look at the color change. Do we notice the color changing? Let me try to change it to a color that will be very significant. Okay. So when I press, do you see it changing to the blue? Now, all this goes beyond just aesthetics. When you send if you have to build a report that would require being sent to an end user, user experience is one of the things that you must consider. Like I said before, visualization is not just scientific. There's also an artistic side to it. And you have to consider that as well when building your reports. So now, I'm just going to try to make a change here by taking off the pill shape completely. I'll say default. And I'm going to turn off the border. Now, this space that I left at the top, I left it intentionally for the clear all slicers button. So I'm going to be placing it here. So are we still together? Please spare me a few seconds. Thank you. I'm very sorry, I have to quickly attend to something. Now, I am here. I don't understand what just happened. Please signify by raising your hand so I can quickly explain again. I don't understand what just happened. Please signify by raising your hand so I can quickly explain again. Okay. Anna, your hand is up. So Anna, what part of what I did you not understand quickly so I can walk through it again? Anna, if you are there, I'd like you to speak.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, yes. Where you impute the over,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I got
Okay.
lost there quite a bit. My network was.
Oh, okay. Now, there's nothing to be worried about. I'm just going to walk through that again quickly. So now, basically, you see these clear all slicers now. What the over effect does is that whatever changes you make at the over point of setting will only take effect when you move to over means to move your pointer around the selected button. So you see the way it is looking now. Let me zoom in just so you see what I'm trying to explain. All right. Now, I changed the color of the text from style. I said state on over. The font color, I changed it to orange. Let me make it bold as well. Now you see that whenever I move my pointer across this, can you see? So this is what the on over does. The changes you make will take effect when you move your pointer across that selected object. So even if I change the alignment from here, it will not change, it will not reflect until I over. Can you see? So Anna, do you get that?
Yes, yes, very clear. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I also changed the color to blue for the on press. I said for the state, we have default on over and on press. So whenever I click on this, you see the color changes to blue. That's because I changed the state of my on press for the font color to change to blue. Now, this is just one of the many buttons, of the few buttons that we have here. You can see that we also have a button here that is called Apply All Slicer. Now, just like Clear All Slicer, Apply All Slicer applies all the slicers with one click and is also formatable like the Clear All Slicers. But basically, the main tools that I'm here to explain to us are Clear All Slicers, Apply All Slicers, Blank, Bookmark, and so now, let's say we use information. What do we use this information icon to do? I'll tell you. Now, say you want the end user to be able to contact you by clicking on this. Let's say you want the end user to see a text, saying, contact me with your details. This information button can be used for something like that. Basically, similar to a text box, just that it has icon features. Now, if I change this, let me try to change this now. And make it on over, and let me try to put my mail here. So basically, this is supposed to show the information that I just entered here. Whenever this is over the point. Defaults. Let me take out this contact before defaults. Okay. Let me try to change it to on over. Why is this not coming out? You just give me a minute with this. Responding properly is that should be able to see the information that I inputted. I don't know why it is not responding, but basically that is how it is supposed to work. That whenever this is over the phone, it will pop up just like a text box right on top, showing them my mail. Okay, in case you want to reach out to me, or you have any question here, I'll look into that and find a solution for it before the end of this class. And if I get a way around it, I will re-explain it again to us. Now we have also here, we have the left arrow and the right arrow. Now, just like on our phones or when we are playing games or things like that, that we have navigation buttons, the left arrow and the right arrow can be used for page navigation. They can be used for page navigation. Now, let me bring in both the left arrow and the right arrow. And let me try to adjust the size for them to be similar. Okay, great. Now, let me copy these arrows because I'm on the second page. Okay. Let me copy, come to the first page. And let me paste this here. Now, for page 1, I want the left arrow to go to page 2. Now, this is where format button action now comes in. Action allows you to depict or to set the action that a button performs in your report. So the first thing you have to do is to turn on action, collapse the drop down, and then you will see there are various action types. We have back, we have bookmark. Mostly, we use buttons for either page navigation, web URL, or bookmark. Now, let me show you page navigation. If I click on page navigation, then I have to set the destination that I want this particular arrow to go to. So if I click on this, it will ask me based on the pages that I have opened. The reason why it is bringing just none and page 2 is because I don't have more than one extra page in this report. So if I click on page 2, now this button has become a navigation button. All I have to do is press Ctrl click. And it should take us to the next page. So I'm going to come here and Control click on this. Okay, now you can see that we are on the second page. I'm going to try that again. Control and click. And this should take us to, don't forget, we are on page 1 currently. We have set this to page navigation. When I press Control and click, this has brought us to page 2. I'll do the same for page 2. I want this arrow that points to the left to take me back from page 2 to page 1. I'm going to set this button on page 2 to take me back to page 1. I'll turn on the action, collapse the drop down, set the action type to page navigation, and then set the destination. Set the destination. So I'm going to go ahead and say page 1. Okay. So we are on page 2. When I press Control click on this, it is supposed to take us back to page 1. As you can see, you are now back on page 1. Now, these icons, these particular buttons that we see, they can be, how do I put it? They can be boring. So to explore the other actions, such as web URL, to explore the other actions such as web URL, bookmark, and blank, we use icons. We can always get icons from flat icons or get icons from. So for the bookmark, for the web URL, I'm going to get a LinkedIn logo, a LinkedIn icon, and insert the URL to go to my LinkedIn page, such as that from this report, anyone that wants to visit my LinkedIn or the LinkedIn of whoever made the report can go there. So let's go to flat icons and get the necessary icons that we need for page navigation. So I already have my flat icons open. All I'm going to do is just download the LinkedIn icon. I'm going to download it as black so that the blue doesn't look weird on the report. Okay. I hope nobody's confused. Please, if you are confused, ask a question. If you want to clarify something, please ask a question. I need icons for next and for previous. I need icons for next and for previous. So I'm going to go ahead and see if there are any icons here that I like. Um, so I think I'm going to try to download this. Okay, so this is for next. I'm going to download for previous as well. I'm going to see already. I'm going to be using similar icons. So because the one I downloaded for next is somewhat like this, I'm going to be downloading something similar to use. So I'm going to download this as well. Okay. Now for extras, let me just download an on page as well. Part of the things I'll also be showing us today is how we design and insert home pages for our reports. Okay. So let me just download this. All right, good. So I'm going to go back to Power BI now. I'm going to zoom out. Now I'm going to take out these boring buttons and I'm going to show us how we can use external images or external icons for page navigation. So let's start with the rewind and the good. So I'll adjust the size. Part of the reasons why I intentionally left the space under this name is so that we can bring in our page navigation buttons. So leaving this space under the name was intentional. I'll select the forward button as well, bring it in. I'm going to let the alignment line guide you. Okay. And then we're going to bring in the other buttons that we downloaded. That is the home page. Now I know. Lastly, we're going to try to bring in the LinkedIn icon. For the LinkedIn icon, there's already a space reserved on this dashboard for it, and it's going to come right down here. If you have any other social media pages that you like to put on your dashboard, you can just get the icon. Now, you see that when I brought it in, format image, there's action here. I'll turn on. I'm still selecting the LinkedIn icon. I'll turn on the action and then set the type. Now I can say web URL. Then I'll go and get my LinkedIn URL. I'll go ahead to get my LinkedIn URL from LinkedIn. I've already opened my LinkedIn, so I'm just going to be copying my URL from there. If it is your portfolio link, if it is a link to Twitter that you have, download the Twitter logo and use it. So I'm going to be copying my LinkedIn URL and saying type web URL. Then I'll enter the URL here. Now, when I control click on this, what it is supposed to do is that it will open my LinkedIn. Let me just try to change my sharing to the entire screen so that you see when that change occurs. Okay. Control click. All right. Now let me try to share my browser just popped up. So let me try to share this. Let me try to share the pane of my browser that is loading my LinkedIn. Okay. So this is how the action for the web URL is used. You change the action type to web URL, and then we come here to insert where we want that icon to go when it is clicked on. Now, don't forget, we still need to change these action buttons. So I'm just going to quickly do that. I want this to go to page 2. So I'm going to turn on the action. So now, for this icon here, what kind of action do we want to perform on this? Just to be sure we are still together. What kind of action are we trying to perform on this icon that I selected? Let me call somebody. Anna, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
So for this selected icon, what kind of action do we want to perform on this icon?
To go to the next page.
Oh, okay. So that's the page. That's what do we call that?
So can you go on the drop down?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
drop down.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay. So I'm on the drop down.
That should be page navigation.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Page navigation. Then I'll set the destination to go to page 2. So I'm going to copy. I'm going to select these icons. I'm going to select these icons. So that I can come and paste them in page 2. Let me first delete this. I don't want to use Power BI's buttons. I'll just try to copy this again. I don't think I got the copy right. So I'm holding Control down and I'm selecting these icons because I want to take them to the next page. Okay, you should see. And I'm going to come to this next page and just Control V. All right. Now, mind you, when you copy and paste, the buttons still have their functions. The buttons, they still have their functions. So I'm going to go ahead and set the previous page to go back to page 1. Now, you might be wondering, we brought in an home page icon, but we do not have an home page. So what I want to do now is I want to create an home page. I want to create an home page. Now, most times, basically, I create my home page in Canva. But for most of us, we can still always create our own page using Power BI. Adeyemi, do you want to ask the question? Your mic is unmuted. Okay. So would you like me to show you how to create an home page of yours for those of us who would like to create an home page? Let me just.
Yes.
Okay. So quickly,
Yes,
I'm going
please.
to firstly start by creating a new page, and I'll call the page home page. So basically, your home page is the first page. That is the first page we see whenever we open your reports. The first page we see whenever we open your reports. So let me take you to the design points for the home page. Okay. All right. So can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
So let's use this. All right. Let's use this. So basically, when you get to Canva, you search for desktop wallpaper, and then we'll try to put together a wallpaper that will be suitable. I've selected a template and I'm going to try to customize it. Waiting for this to pop up. Okay. Sorry, this is taking time to load up because of the network. Okay. Now, don't forget we already have colors we are working with. So let me start with by changing this background color to one of the colors that we are working with. Now, whenever you want to set your background, that is your home page, ensure that the color tallies with what you have been using before. So for this, I'm going to be using the deeper shade of green. Uh, and for these guys, I'm going to be using the lemon color. This is 9, 7. Okay, great. You can see that there's this darker shades behind it. That's what I'm trying to change. I'm basically just trying to change the color. Okay. So let's call this a design by. This is where you'll be putting your name. So for this, let's bring in a text here. I'm going to be looking for elements that tally with the dashboard I'm building. So I'll say pharmacy. I'm going to search for graphical elements that are related to a pharmacy. Basically, all I'm trying to do here is to put together a dashboard. So, okay, an home page for the dashboard. Okay, I think I'm ready to say, Let me just change the color of this. Okay. Just trying to be creative with this. I'm going to put this right in front. Then I'll go ahead and say pharmaceutical reports. If you have Canva on your laptop, this will be a plus when you're trying to build yours. If not, I'm just going to send this wallpaper so that you can use it for your own as well. Now, let me try to bring in some elements that are pertaining to analysis. So I'll say analysis. Okay. Is this change? Is this editable? Okay, it is. I don't want this to take too much space, so I'm going to reduce the transparency of this so it doesn't look too. Let me send it to the back. Let me then check out one of this. So I'm going to save this quickly. I'm just trying to rush this because of our time. I'll download it. I'll call it myDataClique dashboard background. Now let's go to Power BI. I'm going to insert that image as a canvas background. Don't forget, during the first day, we already explored how to insert pictures into the background. I'll reduce the transparency, and then I'll say, now, the reason why I didn't insert my name beside this designed by is because
Sorry,
I want to do, are we still together?
sorry, we can't see. I
Somebody's
can't see your
asking.
BI screen.
Oh, okay. I don't worry, I'm going to repeat the process. I'm still on Canva. So let me go to Power BI. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, now, don't forget, we already named an home page, a blank page. So we're going to try to insert that picture as a canvas background. On the first day, we already explored inserting background. So I'm just going to come here and say canvas background, image. I'll go and select that background. And I'll change the image fit to fit. Now, the reason why I didn't insert my name beside designed by is because I want every one of us to still be able to insert our names. So for that, we are going to bring in a text box. Or better still, let's just copy and paste the text box that we already used for this pharmaceutical report. So we'll copy this. I'll come and use it again here. Let me select, copy it, come and paste it here. Okay. So I'll bring it down here. So for the design by, it's going to be your name that will be here. But for this, let's make this my data click. So let's make the text color white as well. So tally with the design by. So can you see? Now we have my data click here. Now, this home page, we are going to use the home icon to set page navigation. That anytime we click on this home button, it should take us to the home page. Similarly to the other icons, we are going to say page navigation, destination, home page. Repeat the same process for page 2. Destination for the home icon should be home page as well. So now from any of these pages, we can click on the home icon and it should take us to the home page. Now, on the home page, this is where I'm going to be showing us another type of button that we call the blank button. The blank button. Now, the blank button, whenever you create it, just like the name implies, it is blank. You are the one that has to determine what it contains and what it will do. So I brought in a blank button, as you can see. I brought in a blank button. Now, what I want the blank button to do for us is I want the blank buttons to be page navigation, to go from the home page to page 1 and page 2. Don't forget, all I'm trying to do is just to teach us how to use these buttons. That's why I'm exploring each and every one of them. So I'll turn on the action and say page navigation. So I want this first button to go to page 1. I will duplicate this Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, and I will say the second one should go to page 2. So I have my 2 buttons. But if you notice, these buttons are still blank. There's nothing inside. If I send this to anybody now, they will not know what to do with these buttons because they are just there. So that means we need to go ahead and do more formatting. So I'll click on style. I'll click on style and I'll say default. Default means without any action being performed on it. How should it look like? I will turn on text and I will insert the title for the button. I'll call this page 1. Make it bold and select a color that will be reflective on this. Can you see? So here we can now start to make all the other settings and say on over. On over. Now, let's say we want the color to change from this to the lemon shade. You see that when I over on it, you see it changes. So it's already giving that UI UX feel. I'll repeat the same process for the second button. I'll say default, text. For this is page 2. I'll make it bold, and then I'll change it to a visible color. That will be page 2. I'll change the state on over to another color. So now, both buttons now have interactive features. They now have interactive features. I'm going to go ahead and change to the fonts that we've been using all along. Ensure that whatever change you are making, the first thing you are doing is changing the state, or else it will not reflect. So I'm going to go here. The state is on default. Change my font type to triplicate. Good. Now, I don't want this border. These borders that surround them, I don't want them. Or better still, let me change the color of the border to a color that will look better. I'll also change the shape of each of these. I'll use a peel. Good. And I'll also use a peel. I'm lost. Signify so I can explain again. If you are lost, please signify so I can explain again. Okay. Now, so let's proceed. Now, I'm just going to put the buttons right at the top here.
Mr.
Don't
Favor,
forget. Yes, sir.
please, I have a question, sir.
Okay,
Please,
sir, I'm with you, sir.
can you repeat the circle thing that you just did now? Can you just repeat it? I want to see it, sir.
Okay. Now, basically, all I did was to change the shape, that the border. You see, we have different type of shapes here. If I say oval, it will change to oval
Okay.
shape. If I change it to another, say art, it will change to art.
Okay.
But because I want it to give me that sort of website feel, a UI UX sort of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and say the peel, because
Okay.
this looks more like a button. So whenever you move on this, you can see it's changing. Now, the beauty of this should be that when we click on it, it should interact. That's why if they ask you what you built, you say interactive dashboard. So why are you building an interactive dashboard and there's no interaction? So I'm going to go ahead and say control click, and this should take me to page 1. If I want to go back to the home page, I'll use the icon here. This should take me to my home page. God will help me at this control click today. It's me and you. Okay, good. I'm back to my home page. If I want to go to page 2, from here, I should be able to control click and go to page 2 from there. Are we still together? Do we see that it's starting to make more sense now? All right. So let me just quickly. Adeyemi, are you where you can talk now? Is Adeyemi still in transit? Oluwadamilola, are you there? Can you guys still hear me? Hello? Please, if you
Yes.
can still hear me. Okay.
Yes, I
Who
can
is
hear you.
talking? All right, John. Anna, was that you?
Yes.
Okay, so now fast forward to the first day and now, just like I said, building a report is like building a house. It is not a house from the moment you lay the foundation. In fact, it is not even a house from the moment you start putting bricks together. It becomes the house when it is furnished both in and out. And that's what we have been trying to put together since we started. So most times the process it might not make sense that where are we going or what are we trying to do with this. So now that we've inserted an home page, the next thing we're going to try to do is to insert a page for our insights and our recommendation. So I'm going to duplicate an already existing page, and I'm going to call this insights, and let me use the answer and recommendation. Insights and recommendations. Okay. Now, I don't need visuals on this, so I'm just going to go ahead, select all the elements that I don't need on this. And then delete every one of them. Mind you, I still want to keep some elements in this. So I'll just still keep some of these guys. Okay, great. Now, so the first thing we want to do is let's insert a text box. Are you with me? We'll insert a text box. I use the text box to cover up this background. Because if I ask us to start building another layout for the it might take a while to do that. So basically, this is another smart way to go about it. That you insert your text box like this. Now, I'm going to show you how we are going to now bring in the labeling to show that, okay, we want this to be insights and recommendations. You can do it two ways. I'll show you both those two ways now. Please stay with me. So I'm going to delete all this. So we're going to insert another text box. Or better still, let me just duplicate this already existing text box. So Control C, Control V. Okay, great. Now I need this to come to the middle of my report, and I want to use it for, I want to change it and now call it insights. So I'm going to call this insights and recommendations. So I'm going to expand this my text box so that it will show both at once. I'll align it to the center, and I'll also increase the size of the font. I'll also increase the size of the font. Good. Now, is it starting to make sense now? So now, for this, we are going to have two text box. We'll put two of these text box. The one on this side will be used for our insights. We are going to position this here for insights. We are going to copy and duplicate the text box. And then what we put on the left will be for our recommendations. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to move this. Okay, good. So basically, still trying to make adjustments. Now, for each of the insights and recommendations will be built up from the charts. But if we go back now here, we don't have a page, we don't have a button to take us to the insights and recommendations from the home page. So that means our work here is not done yet. So we need to do this, move this, and then insert a button for our insights and recommendations. Instead of repeating this whole process again, just duplicate an existing button and let's format it to show and go to insights and recommendation. So we change the destination here and say insights and recommendation. That's the first step. The second step is to change the text that is inside. Oh, sorry, I changed for the second button. This is supposed to be page 2. Is this third one that's supposed to go to insights and recommendations? Okay. So the first step is to rename it, to change the destination to where you want it to go, because we duplicated the button. The second step is to change the text. Default, and then we'll say insights, and recommendations. So we are going to have to expand this to show. So can you see? So if I control click on this, it should go to the insights and recommendations page. Can you see now that it has come to the insights and recommendations page? Good. Now, on the insights and the recommendations page, you want to go ahead and insert arrows. If you don't have nice arrows here, you can just use the arrows that were supposed to be for your page navigation. You can insert the arrows that were supposed to be for your page navigation and just bring them here. So let me go ahead and insert an arrow here. What do I want the arrows to do for me? I want the arrows to be like bullet points. I want the arrows to be like my bullet points. So per point that I list, this arrow will be the indicator that this is the point. This is the point. So let me show you an example. I will write out one insight and one recommendation. And over the weekend, I expect us to fill in 2 more insights and recommendations from this report. So let's take a look at the first page. Okay. So we can see that when it comes to the total quantity sold, the pharmacy channel has more sales than the hospital channel. So that's going to be our first insight, that from our visualizations, we found out that the pharmacy channels are making more in quantities sold, in the quantities that they are sold. So I'm just going to go ahead and in this text box, change my font type to triplicate, increase the font size as well. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to try to do here is to label these insights so that whoever is reading this will be able to know that, okay, yeah, one is insights and one is recommendations. So I'm going to increase this, bring it to the center. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing here as well. So we have our insights and then we have recommendations. So I like this and bring it to the center as well. Okay. So okay. Let's go back to 12 and I'll start with my number 1 insight. I'll start with my number 1 insight. And this is the same process we are going to repeat for all of the insights and the recommendations. So mind you, there's no page after insights and recommendations. So let's take out this icon, say delete, because we are not going anywhere after this again, but we can still always go back to page 2. So I'll set the navigation of this to go back to the second page. And the home page, let's just confirm, is it going back to the home page? Yes, it is. So let's say we want to have 4 insights. We're going to move this arrow duplicate it 4 times. So this will be for the second insight. Duplicate it again. It's going to be for the third one now. Duplicate it again. And this will be for the. So we are going 4 insights and 4 recommendations. If you don't know how to do the alignment, you can just insert a line to guide you. You can insert a line just to sort of guide you so that you don't go outside of when you're writing your insights and your recommendations. So I'm going to change the color of this line to align with what we've been building. Change it from the border as well. I'm reducing the size so that we'll be able to use it. Okay. So I want to first use it as a separator here. Let me copy it and paste it and bring it here again. Good. Are we together? So now, guys, do we have any questions? Do you have any questions so far? Do you have any questions so far? Please, if you have a question, ask now. If you have a question, please ask now. Is anybody asking a question? If you want to say something, please go ahead. I'm listening. Okay. So now, the task for the weekend, our task for the weekend is that when we build our dashboard, when we generate our reports to this extent, we have to fill in 4 insights and 4 recommendations. And this report is to be submitted latest by Tuesday, because on Wednesday, we'll start building another report where we'll be going into advanced Power BI proper. I know you guys are thinking, if we are doing advanced next week, what is it that we have already done? That's why Anna was laughing earlier. But I want this to be a challenge to us that will populate the insights and the recommendations field ourselves. So once again, does anybody have questions? Any questions, please? Any questions? All right. In the absence of questions, in the absence of questions, at this point, I'll be calling the class to, I'll bring the class to an end because I need to attend to something that is urgent. I had to be in this class today on failing. And I said it from the start of the class that I'll be here for an hour and 30 minutes. And I've already stayed beyond that. So I want to thank everybody for joining and joining on time. So I'll see you guys again Wednesday next week, 6 to 8. So in the absence of questions, this will be me bringing the class to an end. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.